Welcoming on to the Vikes Verified podcast today, we have Minnesota State wide receiver and NFL draft prospect TreShawn Watson. Trey, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Fantastic. Appreciate you guys for having me.
100%. We're looking forward to hearing more about your journey. I just want to dive into your time in the NSIC. Obviously, a couple years with Mankato, you started at Illinois State, really found your stride in the NSIC and built something that's now translating to the next level. When I turn on your tape, Trey, it's very apparent to me that you've got a great ability to high point the football. You're really good in one-on-one matchups. You do really well with press coverage because of your strength and athletic ability. If I could ask you one thing, how are you working on your craft and what are the areas of your game that you believe are going to need to go to the next level to translate in the NFL?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest room is a room for improvement. And for me, like you said, the high ball has always been in that kind of one-on-one matchup, that deep ball. I've always been a deep threat. I'm a ball hawk. And then with being obviously 6'3", 210, I kind of got that big frame. So that obviously helps on the outside as well. But I can motion and go anywhere. I can play all positions, all spots, slots, outside, you name it when it comes to playing the receiver position.
Mhm.
But for me, I just continue to get explosive and working releases. You can never get enough of that. And then obviously being a bigger frame guy, you'll hear it from any level of coaches is constantly talking about having bigger frame guys kind of get in and out of their break and stay in that
Yep.
low level because it's super easy to be high as a bigger receiver.
Percent.
And like Nick mentioned, your physical skills as a wide receiver and ability to go high point and make plays down the field are evident. For coaches and fans who may not know as much about you, what are some things? How would you describe yourself off the field?
Off the field, a guy like that. I like to stay in the community. So a guy likes to stay in the community. As you see, when I was at Minnesota State, I had an honor of just working with a lot of restaurants and you saw a car dealership, and there's a whole bunch of kind of NIL related things I did with some people. So being able to connect with the community, the high schools, the elementary schools, the middle schools, that was always cool. And then more from like a leisure aspect, my family owns a boat marina in Antioch, Illinois called Turtle
Okay.
Beach Marina. So I'm always on the boats and jet skis and hanging out with family
Okay.
up there. It's a blessing. And then golf. We talked about golf a little bit.
Yes.
I love to go out there and yeah, hit the fairway with the boys a little bit.
Love that. Well, obviously being a Minnesota State Maverick, I'm sure you've heard it, and obviously you've gotten to know a guy in Adam Thielen who's had a pretty historic career, being able to play for the Minnesota Vikings and have a time with the Steelers and Panthers and really establish himself in the league. What's it been like to kind of see somebody be able to do that as inspiration, and then how has your relationship grown with Adam Thielen?
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to come into Minnesota State and seeing someone like, Adam Thielen, Shane Zylstra, some of the greats, it's been a blessing. And understanding and seeing how he kind of, took about being at a school, maybe the size of Minnesota State, and maybe it's a little more of a challenge, and he's kind of went in, he's put his head down and he worked. And all he wanted, was to get to a regional kind of combine to put those numbers in and kind of prove that, he belonged and he did everything right, and there's no secret to it. It's hard work and being able to watch Adam do that. And on top of that, I'm super obviously big into my face. So being able to see the way he grew and handled and kind of just glorified God throughout his work was awesome too. And then moving forward now, obviously, we've been connected and things like that. And he left Minnesota for a little bit, with my time being here. So obviously wasn't in the area as much. Just being able to connect with him and things like that, to be able to look up to him and really have a role model to show me the way to do it out of Minnesota State specifically, what was super awesome. And like I said, man of faith. And then even with the injury, I had an injury
Hmm.
come up and him putting good word in, and I got in with their head surgeon over there. Yeah, their head surgeon did my hip surgery. So
Awesome.
just being able to have him take me under his wing and kind of put a good word in. I talked to the doctor and he kind of mentioned, he said something at practice because he's a team doctor too. And just being able to help me out when I was going through things too. Also, maybe not only the good things, but the bad things too, kind of being able to have him there was awesome.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome when you see a guy, from your university reach the pinnacle of the sport, and now he's a guy that's looking to give back, right? And see the younger generation, people that were once, he was in your shoes once and he knows what it takes, what a great resource to have. So let's talk a little bit about like December through now. So we're in the pre-draft cycle. Um,
Mhm.
I know you had mentioned surgery. What does this look like for you from December until now in terms of working out, Did you have a pro day? What was the contact like at those pro days, and kind of what interests are you kind of feeling on your radar from teams?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I've talked to, a scout from all 32 NFL teams. Obviously, I've talked to more teams more often than others. But from December to about now, I was dealing with the injury, and obviously had to get right on that. I had to
Yeah.
get the hip right and kind of do that. But I went to Northwestern's pro day on the 17th of March, and just kind
Okay.
of went there to get in front of some of the scouts I wanted to talk there. Talk to the Ravens there, seeing a scout from the Bills that recently came and watched me practice. So being able to get it in front of those guys and talk to them and just kind of going over things of where I'm at, obviously healing wise, kind of just gameplay or where I'd fit kind of in the scheme of things of that offense of wherever they're at, what scout it was. And then it's really just like interviews and PT and training and getting ready for those things. And then I went to the Chicago Bears local day yesterday, so
Okay.
April 7th, and being able to just see, the wide receiver coach there was kind of awesome, Coach Randall, and just being able to see the way he coaches certain things was also awesome and getting experience because I'm obviously from Chicagoland area.
Mhm.
So being able to see that was awesome. And then I actually have my pro day, the first ever Minnesota State pro day that
That's good.
we had set up is going to be the 15th. So next week
Sweet.
is I'll be
Awesome.
over there and I'll be able to move a little bit better. We're further on and I'll be able to do bench and, catch some balls there and get in front of some scouts and be able to talk to them about just the process and how everything's going and things like that.
That's great. I mean, it's inevitable that you're going to get an opportunity at this point. You've got the summer to heal. You're going to have opportunities this fall. So I'm going to ask you, coming from where you're coming from, you're going to be in an environment of guys who are high draft picks, guys who are mid-round draft picks, wherever they came from. In your mind, what do you think is going to help differentiate you to get guys to get you to stick around on a roster and be with an NFL team, longer than training camp? Because I'm sure you've got a long-term goal for what you want this to be. When you get in there this fall, what are a few things that you're going to focus on that you think are going to differentiate you?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like I said, being at those events and those things and seeing maybe the competition per se and all the other guys that are kind of trying to achieve the same goal. Obviously, you evaluate that as such too. But then for me, I can say your biggest enemy is kind of yourself. It's always kind of a battle with myself. But what I bring to the table that kind of separates myself is obviously being a big receiver. Those are kind of the visual things that you can see. Bigger receiver, ball hawk, but we kind of got those guys all over the league. But for me, it's the discipline, the day in, day out, being in the playbook, being able to really get things down and focused. They obviously are there to help you do that throughout, the summer going into the fall. But for me, it's going to be a guy. I'm always going to be the first one there, last one to leave. I'm going to have those things down. When I get my opportunity, I'm going to shine in that opportunity. And then I think honestly, having this step setback for me right now is kind of a blessing in disguise, being able to work on a whole bunch of other things that I may not have if I didn't get injured,
Mhm.
And for me, it's just going in there with that mindset and that positivity. And I know, like even getting those cleats laced up just yesterday, being able to get back on that turf and kind of move around,
Yeah.
and catch balls was, I mean, it was just a blessing. I was super grateful to be back out there, and I know I'm just gonna give it my all, and just being able to keep me in there for longevity wise. I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to be doing. Take that extra mile, take care of my body, be in the training room, nutrition, you name it, everything. You want to be a pro, you got to eat like a pro, you got to sleep like a pro, you got to practice like a pro. All that stuff matters. So being able to do all those things, and just be consistent with all that is super important.
Love that.
That's awesome. Well, hey, it's exciting to hear all the different conversations you've been able to have throughout this process, and it sounds like it's a wide net that you're casting, which is awesome. Touching on something that for fans that may not know, you grew up a Vikings fan. What has that relationship been like throughout this pre-draft process, and what would it mean to you to play for your favorite team growing up?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been a Vikings fan since day one. My mom's side is all Vikings fans, and
Let's go.
dad's more from inner city, so they're all Chicago Bears fans. But yeah, no, mom's side is all Vikings, and it has just been awesome. I have an uncle that actually is named Randy Moss, not the wide receiver Randy Moss, but
Love
does broadcasting, does a Kentucky Derby now and things like that. But worked with the Vikings for many years and kind
that.
of brought us around that seeing things, and I grew up loving, Adrian Peterson and just watching him play, and obviously Randy Moss, those older guys too. It was just awesome, and then now Justin Jefferson. I mean, just being a receiver, I mean, I kind of got it good. So
Yeah.
being able to see that, and yeah, just being in conversation with them, being able to talk, that staff and those scouts, it's just awesome. It's kind of like it would be a dream come true, honestly, if I put on that purple and gold. Not only being from Mankato, like liking the Vikings, and I go to Mankato, get in that
Yeah.
purple and gold, I love that community, and then go 50 minutes up the road and be able to put that purple and gold back on again for a team that I've watched my whole entire life would just be a dream come true, and it would just be awesome.
Yeah, no, it sounds like, like a stars are aligning type thing. I think, as much as it excites you, it excites guys like us who are also huge Vikings fans, being able to kind of see the stories that we have and kind of the history at that position. I think it'd be a great fit. You talked about guys like Randy Moss, Adrian Peterson. As you've evolved throughout your career, who are some guys that you've really tried to emulate your game after or maybe looked up to?
Yeah, definitely number one guy I watched the most. I've watched hours and hours of film on Justin Jefferson. I mean, how
Yeah,
can't you,
yeah,
you know? And I'm a little biased, I'm a Minnesota
yeah,
Vikings fan, so
yeah,
and
sure.
it doesn't. But for me though, it's like he is the best receiver in the league. So I go out there and just being able to watch the way that he fits into zone windows and the way he gets separation. You don't got to be the fastest guy in the field, and I mean he's quick, but you don't got to be
Mhm.
the fastest guy in the field. The way that you learn the game and like just getting in and out of his breaks, and then also like I said, you get in those zone windows. Once he really crafted the game, I mean, dude's unstoppable, and he masters that. He's super elusive. He gets in and out of those things like no other. And then obviously other big receivers I like to watch. Maybe Keenan Allen and or Kenny Galladay back in the day. I actually watched him quite a
Oh, yeah.
bit, and just bigger size receivers that can kind of emulate my frame too, my game too. Just so I can go in there and be like, okay, these are obviously bigger frame guys. How do they get in and out of breaks, and what do they do, and what are kind of their tendencies and things like that.
Love that. So when we talk about the frame, there comes an expectation and a willingness to want to block on the perimeter. I feel like this is a
Hmm.
big thing that for guys who are trying to earn spots on rosters, how dirty can you get on the perimeter? How much are you willing, to get in there and be a perimeter blocker? Take me a little bit through your mindset, when it comes to perimeter blocking and kind of a few things that you focus on, trying to free up some of these backs to get big chunks.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's like, dude, that run game opens up the pass game. So it's like
Yeah,
you get in there, and then you also got to play your 111, man. You go out there like no block, no rock. And I
yeah,
kind of stand by that. No block, no rock. You go out there, you block your butt off, and get those back some runs and some yardage. And it's only going to do anything but help you out. You block,
yeah.
you open up that run, and then now I got a shot down the field. So it all comes together. That's the thing about football. It's such a team sport, and just being able to go in there, have that gritty mind. Like I said, you were talking about the frame. Knowing I'm already a big frame, I can get my body in front of them, and I'm a quick guy, strong guy. So like when I get in, I like to get a little chippy in there. It's
Yeah.
football. I got the pads on, bang a little bit. But yeah, the mindset is definitely to block first. Like you got to go in there and you got to block. You got to block for those tight ends. You got to block for those running backs. Those fullbacks. You name it. And then your time's gonna come, and it's just gonna do. Only thing it's gonna do is open up the pass more. So being able to play that 111 to be a true teammate, get in there and get that block is everything.
100%. You treat those as wins. It's kind of the beautiful thing about the karma of football. When you have some big blocks early in the game, a lot of the time those are the games where you start seeing the rock in the second half because you put the work in for your teammates in the first half. So I
Hmm.
love to hear that mentality. I think that's something that you have the ability to bring to the table and really turn heads with coaches in camp, with your ability to kind of square up these corners, lock them up, and they're going to see value in that.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
I think we talk about your size and the abilities that you have as a receiver. I think something that gets sometimes overlooked is your versatility as in the return game. You have some
Mhm.
experience in that aspect of the game. Have you had have through your conversations with NFL teams, do they see you kind of providing value in that area as well? As I know, special teams is a great way to kind of establish yourself on a roster. How do you see that versatility helping yourself into the league and have teams kind of looked into you for that area?
Yeah, absolutely. Every team pretty much I can think of on the top of my head right now has talked about special teams. I mean, that's the way.
Yep.
You're a rookie, you're gonna be on those special teams, and
Yeah.
that's just part of it. And for me, I love special teams. When I was at
Yeah.
Illinois State, I was on kickoff return. Obviously, I was kick returner. They had me listed as punt returner. I'm also from Minnesota State, and I just love it. I mean, I love returning kicks. So if that's what they want me to do, I mean, I thrive in it. I love it. I get the ball, and I'm full steam every time. Got great vision of the field, so I'll be able to help in that aspect. And I've talked to plenty of teams about that, about the returning side of things. And I know for like the NFL, I'm actually probably a bigger returner.
Yep.
I would say. So it's something different, and so something different. I can kind of go out there and maybe throw their way. Like, hey, obviously I'm a 6'3", 210 kick returner. You don't see that too often. Maybe like Cordell
Yeah,
Patterson was one of the bigger guys, and just
Yeah.
being able to have versatility and things like that to bring to the table. And then also, dude, I want to go down there and hit too. I like to hit. I miss defense. Like I haven't played defense since high school,
yeah,
and I want to go down there. I want to take somebody's helmet off. Like I
Yeah.
want to pop pads. That's part of football too. I kind of miss that feeling of being able to go down and hit somebody. Kind of lay it on them. So definitely have talked to every team that pretty much about special teams and how I'd be able to go in there and play that. And if that was just my role in the beginning, how would I take that and everything? I kind of talked to those guys about that, and I would love it. I would thrive in it, and I would absolutely do that 100%.
that's exciting to hear. I think that's a great way to, like you said, establish yourself early on, and that leads me into kind of my next question. Passion is something that stands out in your tape. You're a very passionate player out there. What is some of the why behind your game? Who inspires you and gives you the fire to go out there every game and make a name for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Who gives me my fire? Where everything comes from, all the energy, everything that I got comes from my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I got to put that first, and that's I stand true on that and very, very firm on that. Without Him, I am nothing, and I just think it's a blessing. And sometimes we don't realize we take things for granted. We're so special just to be here on Earth and kind of get this opportunity. So for me, every single mindset, every time I pad up and I walk out that locker room, going on to turf, grass, you name it, it's like I had this one in a trillion opportunity to be here on this earth and be able, I'm able to do this. And that's one thing I don't have to, I'm able to do this. I get this opportunity. So many people wish are in this spot, and it's just a blessing. And that's honestly where most of my fire comes from. And then obviously, I got guys relying on me. I got brothers that are in there that, we just busted our butt all summer long, all fall camp long, and now we're putting it all together. And it's not, once you really play the game for somebody else and not you, that's when you really start winning. When you cheer on those touchdowns and things like that, and it all comes full circle. So for me, I go out there with the mindset of I'm gonna glorify, Jesus Christ today, and I'm gonna go out there and give him my all and worship him through the way I play. And I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna bust my butt for my teammates and my coaches, because they put a whole game plan together, and we studied it and we worked so hard to go out there, to get 4 quarters, of our best ability. So I'm gonna go out there for my brothers, and I'll be damned if I'm out there and the reason that we lost the game is because I missed a block, or I kind of loafed on a play happening. I'm going to go out there and give my all. So that fire comes from, like I said, Jesus Christ and my teammates, and just the people I owe it to, my family, people that sacrificed.
Yep,
They drove hours, came to every single home game. All my friends drive up, 6.5 hours from Chicago, and I owe it to all of them.
that's awesome.
I love that. That perspective is powerful, right? It's like when you realize that you do have the ability to do that and you take things in the micro, one game at a time, one practice at a time, that's when I think you start to see that success unfold over a longer period of time. So I'll ask you this, of quarterbacks in the NFL currently, give me your top 5 that you would like to catch some passes from this fall in training camp.
Top five. Okay. I mean, I would love to catch a ball from some of the greats that are still in there.
Yeah,
So if Aaron Rodgers is obviously still in there, that would be kind of a dream. Something that's more of like a childhood kind of dream right there. Just catch from some of the greats. Brady was still playing. I would have said his name too and things like that.
yeah,
Right now, honestly, cannot go wrong. Catching balls from Josh Allen.
Yep.
You got Joe Burrow.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to say Kyler Murray.
I was waiting for you to say it. I
Yeah,
was waiting for
I'm
you to
gonna
say it.
have to say
could
it.
be a
I
fire
just,
connection.
come on now. That's what I'm saying. Kyler Murray, he's a dog, and I think this reset for him is gonna be something special. I really do. So Kyler
I do as
Murray,
well.
absolutely, and I love the way this next guy plays, and he just loves football. And Baker Mayfield. I
Yep.
mean,
Yes,
I
sir.
just love the way he goes out there and he takes on the game. Absolutely, and then you got Patty Mahomes. I mean, people can
Man,
say
Yeah.
some people like him, some
Good
people
5.
don't. You come on, yeah, absolutely, Patty Mahomes.
a
Good
solid
5.
5.
I love
Yeah.
that. Well, hey, we're rooting for you all the way. And I think, from us being here in Minnesota, I think the good thing is that, the Vikings, some of these teams in the NFC North, they're very aware of the NSIC conference and the talent that this conference puts out, so they give people opportunities from these conferences. And we are certainly hoping, that opportunity may come for you in purple and gold. So I would say, this summer, we wish you the best of luck with getting right health wise. I know that's going to work out for you and you're going to have your opportunity, like I said. I'm excited to see how you differentiate yourself. And I would say, headed into the NFL draft, stressful time, you're waiting for the phone to ring, you're waiting for that opportunity. I would ask you what your mindset is headed into this whole process in about 2 or 3 weeks here. Um, is it something where you're going to try to go to a preferred destination, or is it first opportunity? I'm going to jump on it. Let's get after this.
Yeah, for me, it's best
Mhm.
fit,
Ex-
and a team that wants to utilize me and really sees that they can use my skill set, within their scheme, and it's probably special teams. That's kind of how things go. But if they see something further on that, it doesn't matter. It's everywhere. I mean, it could be any position. It could be anywhere. So it'd be a team that truly sees me as someone that can contribute and help, and kind of just wants to, believes in me. That is really
Yeah.
all it is. Someone that really takes that opportunity on you and believes in you, and I'm going to give them my all. Your guys talk about all the time. You're going to get a dog out of me, coach. You're going to get a dog out of me, GM. For me, like, you're going to get a committed player that is in, day out, and giving his all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd echo a lot of what Nick said. I think we're going to be dialed in on your opportunities and your kind of process over these next few weeks, and we're very excited to see how that transpires for you. And as a fellow Mav, I'll definitely be rooting for you to hopefully stay in the state of Minnesota. But regardless of where you end up, I'm very excited for the prospects of your NFL career, and we're just going to be dialed in, and just glad to have a few minutes to kind of get to know you more, and I wish you the best of luck throughout the rest of this process.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. And hey, you might see me in that purple and gold, man. You never know.
Hey, why not? Purple and gold to purple and gold. This is
Absolutely.
Vikes Verified Podcast, Trey Watson. We're excited to see where he ends up. Thank you for the time tonight, Trey.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.